going to be kind of lobbing questions out, and you both can take a cut at them. All right?
Okay.
So, first one, what's your favorite breakfast food?
So easy for me.
Do it.
La yogurt. La. It's called La for short. It's available. You buy it. I think it's really only like 68 cents. You buy it, and it has interior ribs. So not only does it have extraordinary yogurt, made unusually sugary and fruited, when you take your spoon and run it on the inside of the cup, it's like being in a car and swerving off the highway, and then you got the thing. This allows you to both eat, be sweet, and experience a strange rubbing sensation all in the same meal.
You've got breakfast, you've got danger, all in a cup.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Well, for me, I suddenly feel like I've got to one-up you here.
Right,
I was going to say cereal, but here, I'll give you one that's maybe a little interesting. So down the street from me, there's a little coffee shop that makes an egg wrapped in bacon inside a muffin.
Wow.
So it's like if you were to cut the muffin down the middle and open it, so the two halves are splayed, you would see half an egg with bacon kind of holding lovingly the egg. I will sometimes, once a week, if I'm feeling bold, not today, because it's a Wednesday, I will get one of these muffins, and it's like I don't have to have lunch at that point. You just eat it, and it carries you through till dinner.
He actually wears an all-bacon belt, which he will nosh on from time to time. His man is a bacon fanatic.
You know, bacon belts are sometimes made of leather. They're not that far from being bacon.
Do you have a belt buckle for your bacon belt?
Quality, but then I don't go down that way anyway.
It's one of the ways that it's one of the primary ways in which we are different.
Yes,
I like bacon, and he, for strange religious reasons, will not.
By lightning, if I do what he does every day.
Yeah. All right. So, question number 2. Tell me about a failed piece you once made and what you learned from it.
A failed piece we once made.
Oh my God, there's so many.
Yeah.
Not even a famous one, which wasn't a failure though.
What's the famous one?
The flag.
Oh, right. There's that. Yeah.
No, but that was not a failure. I don't think.
It all sort of hinges on on how you define failure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What was the one that we just worked on and it never ever got anywhere? Do you have one of those?
I feel like that's every day.
Yeah, but then somehow or other they either fade away or something that we failed at.
Well, maybe we should do the low hanging fruit.
Okay.
Well, so the earliest. Dude, I might have called it a failure at one point. Now I'm not quite so sure I would, but the earliest failure in quotes that we had was maybe the first time we worked together, or second. I forget whether it was first or second, but so he's good friends with Ira Glass, and Ira, way back in the day, when Radiolab was but a wee little baby, asked him if he would contribute to a little show they were putting together of a series of 2-minute pieces. They had this idea that instead of doing long-form things, they'd do really shorts and they'd put them all together. And he said, Robert, would you want to do something? And Robert said, well, I'll do something with my friend Jad. And Jad had just gotten a piece of tape from Jad's friend Ben?
Ben, maybe.
I forget where I got this piece of tape from. But it was one of these old picture book tapes from the 50s about how to properly address the American flag. What are the various ways one should salute the flag? How should one fold the flag? How should one display the flag next to other flags? There's an incredibly baroque set of rules regarding flag etiquette, and it had one of these little like picture book sounds in between each thought. It would say, to properly fold the flag, you begin with the left corner and fold it diagonal to the right. Beep, boom. Yeah. And then you turn the page of whatever book went along with this. So we ended up. I brought the thing to him. He decided he would reenact all of the things described.
I decided that this would create confusion in a virginal flag displayer who had never folded before.
Yeah. Which is most people.
So what you hear is a person listening to this How to Fold the Flag record and misfolding and then becoming concerned that he wasn't doing it right. So it was a 2-minute episode deep into the psychotic darkness of a flag folder, which I thought would
And
be
we should say he played
all of the
he
parts.
played like 14 different characters in this little 2 minutes. Like Bobby, the guy folding me flags.
Yeah.
Bobby's mother who came and
We had a
scolded Bobby.
convention. We had people,
banging gavels.
Yes.
He was everyone. He was the judge. He was the lawyers. It was very.
and Jad provided. Well, he made it into a beautiful thing. So Ira gets it,
and he hates it. I mean, just unequivocal. Like,
so much so that he was in the he left listening to it over and over again, wondering whether his hatred would soften, and then he gave it to other people, saying, "Do you hate this as much as I did?" And they all hated it. And then he said to me, "Why did you make such a horrible thing?" I said, "It is not horrible. It is simply outside the rhythm of your inspection of the universe. And I'm sorry, but you are limited in that way."
I was very impressed at the time that you could have had that sense of self-confidence.
No,
it was genuinely bad. It was a terrible.
No, it was genuinely
really bad.
good.
It was terrible.
And that's just it was a mistake.
It had no point. It was like two people making a lot of hay about a flag thing. We never even explained what this thing was. Why were we even talking about it?
As a living adult, like what it's like to not get the instructions right, then you've never seen Lucille Ball. Your age probably haven't ever seen Lucille.
Well, anyhow, apparently this This American Life staff had multiple meetings about how much they hated it, and they were so confused by it. Didn't quite know how to tell us
what kind of kill fee would I settle for? I will not settle for it. I said, you just run it, or you just live in the shame of not having it. Until one day, 300 years from now, it's discovered by a PhD candidate at a far-flung southern Chinese university who will wonder why you didn't take this opportunity, Ira Glass.
It was very scary for me at the time. You know how you and I were talking before this interview started about brushes with Ira Glass in various conferences and things. At that time, he was like, Zeus. And this jackass drags me into some weird theatrical thing about flags, and that's my first interaction with Ira Glass? Come on. So I was a little bit...
you were on probation at that moment.
I was on probation. All the public radio had put me on probation.
Yeah.
By me, because for failure to stand by my side in the flag thing.
No, I did not stand by your side.
He did stand by my side.
This was all my internal fretting.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys. That's
yes, I don't know what we learned from that.
I
learned that you just people who think they're really good are not that good every day. That's what I learned.
I learned that sometimes you do things and you do them for the sheer joy of it, and they don't really make any kind of sense. But weirdly, when we listen to that 2 minutes now, it's really fun. It's still dumb. It's a dumb 2 minutes. I hold to that. But it's like you hear a certain joy, and you hear us enjoying each other's company, and in some sense, that's the thing that was there from the beginning and will always be there. And if it's not there, that's when the alarm bells go off. You're like, if we're not having a good time with each other, then it's something's wrong. Something's wrong.
All right. Perfect. All right. So next question.
How long is this program supposed to? That's okay. We'll just if you got them, we'll answer them.
Yeah. What's your favorite title of an artwork of any art form? So what's your favorite title of an artwork?
This is not a title of an artwork. It's a sentence in a book that I was reading last night that stuck in my head. Maybe because it's describing my current state of mind these days. The phrase was a fugue of profanities. Great sentence. So that's the title of an artwork that should be made, but hasn't yet been made.
Yeah, I got very stuck on the line, "My tutu's too tight." This would be explained by someone, I presume a ballerina of some sort, who has gained a little weight. But "my tutu's too tight" is just something I can't stop saying. But this is not an artwork extant. So the answer to your question, other than that someone, again, like Jed says, should make "My tutu's too tight" into a sonata or something, I think...
It could be a Steve Reich kind of piece.
My tutu's too tight.
My tutu's too tight. My tutu's too tight.
Too tight. Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. Too tight. My tutu's too tight.
Yeah.
It could
be that.
It could be actually a piece of music.
But let me think.
I think you answered it.
Well, I like the title I once thought of called I like that as a title.
You had that as a title for one of your things.
I know.
One of your blogs.
I called it. But no one had to say it. Say, oh, I was just reading. And it's just, I like that. I like that you couldn't like resolve it.
There's so many ways you could say that. Actually, you want to know?
It's spelled HMMMMMM dot.
When we're editing the show, I often save little from him. This is the honest truth. Because when you're just constructing a rough draft, it's good to put them in just to sort of get the rhythm of it. There's about 400 different ways you could say It could be like neutral.
That's a good thing, you think?
It could be like It could be like
Yeah.
It could be a little bit like, I'm not sure how I feel about this. There's all kinds of ways you can do it.
This is what I'm saying. This is a great title.
You stepped into a blizzard there.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. All right. So, what do you wish you...
enjoying this?
I'm enjoying it immensely.
Okay. Jennifer's looking at us like we're crazy.
No, I guess what I'm thinking is that this is such a great insight to your process, maybe, of how you guys... I've heard both of you talk independently about your relationship with each other, and it's nice just to see it happen and not necessarily...
Like, people ask us, like, why don't you make more radio shows? This is why.
You can't get off home plate, let alone first base.
Yeah.
Why are we in home plate? I asked. I don't know. Yeah. Why did you start? You start. You came here. Yeah, but you. That sort of thing.
Yeah. All right. So next question: what do you wish you knew?
What do I wish I knew? If I could interpret that question liberally, maybe I should take your question. Or
I was just reading about Lyndon Johnson, and that was a man who was very, very interested in power and wanted to acquire it. And I was looking at Michael Phelps, the swimmer, and there are people who...
I still want to hear how you conclude that the relationship between those two could possibly be.
It's that there is a certain stubbornness in people. Like Lyndon Johnson would be 104 fever, sweating at every pore, really sick, in the back of a van, and he would get out and make 30 appearances in rural Texas, kissing babies, eating this, eating that, and just working those crowds as if his life depended on it. And we were almost risking his life to do it. And Michael Phelps had to get in the pool, and in the pool, and in the pool, or like Ted Williams, practicing and practicing, or Tiger Woods, or those kinds of people. That kind of, I wish I knew, I love what I do, but I sometimes feel, even though I do it all the time, I sometimes still feel lazy, like some kind of weird anorexic who feels that they shouldn't eat anything, even though they haven't eaten anything. I always feel like, I wish I knew what goes on in the minds of these really, really extraordinarily hardworking people who end up, in many cases, accomplishing what they chose. In many cases, interestingly, the ones you haven't heard of, the non-Ted Williamses and the non-Michael Phelps, are in the pool just as often and don't get the attention or win the gold. But there's something about human nature, about that I do find, for some reason lately, because of just thinking about LBJ, I find that I'd like to know what a really stubborn person feels like.
That's interesting. I think I'll answer the question more, a little more personally. I wish I knew how I felt about things right away. I'm the kind of person that I'll sort of sit in a kind of uncertainty about things for a few beats longer than anyone I know, which can be frustrating for people I work with and also for myself. So I sort of wish I sometimes had a clear sense of how I feel about something right away.
But when you come to it,
when I come to it, it's like, you're not going to move me off that little piece of real estate. but still, it takes me a while to kind of dwell on things.
I don't know if you want to do that.
Sometimes. It's a sometimes kind of wish, not an always wish.
All right. Next question. It's what images keep you company in your workspace? So you can probably show directly and explain what you have up.
This is a a big poster that we visited the Simpsons factory in, where was that?
In Oakland or in
somewhere. I want to say it was Oakland.
No, but maybe it was in L.A.
It was L.A. Well, we were out there for a tour.
It was in some neighborhood where they made plastic ducks and.
Yeah, it was like in a really industrial part of somewhere on the West Coast, and they have a huge I don't know if you know anything about how they make the Simpsons, but it's really fascinating. They have like 70 people there, and one person just does landscapes, one person just does sort of characters, and then they put the characters in the landscapes, and it's this amazingly intricate production process, and it takes a long time, 2 years for them to make an episode, and also a lot of them are just sitting there drawing every day, and they say a lot of them were listening to us, and so they made this poster for us, and they signed it by a bunch of the drawers and the animators. And I mean, Simpsons is like it's like a
perfection
pop art of our day in some weird way. So that sits behind us.
There's your silhouette.
I'm gonna turn this around. You can see. Can you see? Let's see what you're looking at here. All right. So there is. You can see my nostrils. That's. I don't know if you can see that. There's a silhouette of me on the wall, which was the very first performance of In the Dark.
Okay.
We had these sort of cutout silhouettes of Robert and I that would appear behind a scrim.
Mine is like rolled up in the closet. You know, like in Peter Pan, when his shadow gets away and he has to tie his shadow to his heel. Remember that?
No,
of course not. But anyway, there was this show called Peter Pan, and it had a little boy. He was a lost boy, and he loses his shadow.
I don't know. It's like you're talking Farsi right now. I have no idea what you're saying.
Anyway, I have my torso in the closet. But I'm trying to think what I have. I have images or souvenirs that provoke me. So
porn, basically, is what it's talking.
I have a picture of Oliver Sacks falling asleep on a chair, which he often does. I have.
Did he give that to you?
Yeah, and I have a Saul Steinberg drawing.
You have a picture of you as a very young man,
and my sister
doing Watergate or something, or doing the election coverage. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a picture of me. I'm at the Watergate cover-up trial, and everybody is looking at the speaker. There are 40 people, and they're all looking at someone just off screen, taking notes. One person in this photograph is lost in thought, and is complete. I think is in Paris in 1907 or something. I don't know. Clearly, he's not a good reporter because he's missing everything that's going on. And somebody took a picture and said, "Who are you?" and written it at the bottom. And I kept that in mind. I often go to events. I'm physically at the event, and I miss it completely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I sort of surround myself with little stabs or stuff like that, like things that just really intrigue me, caught my eye, and I rotate them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's just stuff that makes me think, I guess.
You got my kid over here.
Oh, very cute.
Yeah. He hangs out with me while we work.
Nice. Cool. All right, I have a few more questions for you. What music are you listening to right now?
Well, let's find out, Adam. I don't actually remember what I'm listening to right now. Let's have a look at the iPhone and see what's on there.
You're looking it up.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is presumably going on next to me right now on the screen?
This is just looking at my phone here.
Okay.
So far... Oh. It's funny, I was just talking to somebody today about how this job kills two things I really like, which is to read and to listen to music. I find myself not doing that as much as I would like to, because it's sort of what I do all day long. I'm listening to from a band called Calla, Calla. I have some of that on here, and I have the new Jack White album, which I'm not terribly pleased with, so I haven't been really listening to that too much. And I have a little bit of film music that I keep on here just for scoring purposes, and that's about it.
And me, I spent a lot of the summer listening to classical, because there's this guy down the road from me who runs a classical music kind of thing in a tent. And so it's been the summer of Berlioz.
Berlioz?
Yeah. Never had him before.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's very adventurous for a classical set.
Yeah. And I also listen to Leonard Cohen all the time. Mm-hmm. Particularly the new one.
He has a new one?
He has a new one. Wait, what do you mean?
Enough already
What
of
are you
Leonard Cohen.
Enough of Leonard Cohen? Oh, yeah. Enough of Leonard Cohen. That's what he says. Enough of Leonard Cohen.
I didn't know he was still making music.
He hates that I like Broadway show music, and anything I even hum sounds to him like Oliver or whatever. Leonard Cohen, you can't say that about. I mean, also where I live, there's this guy, Loudon Wainwright, whose son is marrying Leonard. Well, he's married some guy, but he's also going to have a baby with Leonard Cohen's daughter or something. Maybe she's gay too. I don't know.
Really?
They're siring a Leonard Cohen Wainwright child.
Well, I will rush out and buy her album.
You'll pre-order it.
Well, but you're
18 years in advance.
Cohen parts, which will be 1/4.
I was being sarcastic.
Okay. Just say every fourth word, darling. Just don't sing it to Jad, because he has an objection about your grandpa, an unnamed. Oh, and anything at all. Never mind. I'll just leave it with Leonard Cohen and Berlioz.
All right. And kind of a similar question. What are you reading right now?
You're reading LBJ, I guess.
I just stopped doing that. I've been reading the dumbest. I am reading Proust's all summer. I started in June. I am reading Marcel Proust's thing, the first one, which is about some guy falling in love. Well, this man, if he were to stop and eat a sandwich, that would be an enormously active part of this book. If you tie your shoes, you are startling him into a case of athleticism, which he is otherwise incapable, since breathing in and breathing out occupies most of his attention. And this book goes pretty much at that rate. So there's a man named Swann, Monsieur Swann, and he has fallen in love with his Odette lady. She liked him in the beginning, but really I think because he was rich. Now he loves her, but she doesn't want to give him the time of day. So now he doesn't love her. But we already know that they're married because they said that at the beginning. I do not know how Swann and Odette are ever going to get it together because I am now on disc number 908. I have gone back and forth. I'm not even reading it. There are sentences in this book that go on for like 3 pages. And I don't even know how the guy who's narrating can... Imagine if you say, having been to the store, he took... paper mache was his chief... Well, a cat, of course, meowed at that moment. And how do you even parse a sentence? Because you never know when the sentence is going to end. So I've been listening, I guess, to this book for the whole summer. And now in September, we still have like 7 discs to go. Wow. So that's it. And then, because of the book club I'm in, they chose a book called Canada by Richard Ford, in which nothing happens also. I'm in an all-nothing summer. Pages of it. I mean, pages and pages and pages and pages of nothing and nothing and nothing and nothing. If I read Peanuts, it'll be startling to me.
I am reading, it's actually over here to our left, I'm reading this book, Sarah, by J.T. Leroy. Not for pleasure, really, but because I'm interviewing the author on Friday. I was just discussing with Jennifer how I want to read Errol Morris's new book. I'm also reading a book about the genesis of high-speed trading on Wall Street. I think we may do a story about it. And that's it. That's my book readings for the moment.
All right. Thank
If
you.
I'm going to recommend one,
Yeah.
I recommend one by Jim Holt called Why There Is a World or something like that. It's terrific. He just asks, like, why is there anything? The easiest thing to have is nothing. You don't have to count or have any matter or anything. Just so, why is there anything at all? and he goes and asks all these smart people, playwrights, physicists, why is there anything? And they say, and then nobody knows. And it's really good.
All right.
Where does the world come from? Anyway, I can't remember the title, but I know his name is Jim, Holt.
All right. Thank you. All right. So how much time do you guys have?
7 years.
Yeah. We have 15 more minutes? What's up?
Okay, cool. Let me ask you 3 more questions. Okay, first one.
You can stay here for 7 years if you like.
What should change?
What should about the world or about what?
That's all I'm giving you. What should change?
What should change?
People should change their tempers. People who are angry at some other group of people who's taking advantage of them or taking advantage of some situation should change by just trying to spend 5 minutes putting themselves in the shoes of the people that disturb themselves.
That's a good answer. I'd buy that. To piggyback on that, maybe I'm going to contradict something I said earlier and say that I think what should change is our capacity to need to have easy answers. And I think we should be a little more comfortable living in a state of not knowing more of the time. And that I think some of that rancorous kind of exchanges that you're pointing to happens as a result of us wanting easy answers and there not being any.
Kind of along those lines, what should stay the same?
Love. I think if you're lucky enough to fall in love with what you do, or fall in love with another person, or fall in love with an idea that intrigues you and you can't stop thinking about, then that capacity, if you have it, and most people I think do, is something that you should keep.
Yeah, I mean, I think about like right now, Janet Cardiff has a piece at PS1, her famous piece, the 40-part motet. Do you know about this piece?
I don't.
She recorded 40 singers.
They're in a church.
They're in a church singing a...
Well, actually, they're all at home. They all have mics.
Yeah, so she recorded
and they all put on their coats. And they all get in their car.
40 person going to meet at the church, getting
they all
together,
get out of the church.
kind
they
of
all take off their clothes.
milling around, and then singing together.
They start to sing.
And she displays it as 40 speakers on a stand, arranged in a kind of the configuration that the humans would have stand. And it's hard to describe it. It's one of these things where you stand in a room and you listen to 40 vaguely human-shaped speakers sing at you. And it's just unbelievably moving, and it's beautiful. And it's
particularly, you can go and start early and hear them saying goodbye to their kids and locking the door and getting in the car, that speaker. And you can go to another speaker, and there's someone else kissing his wife goodbye. So you can actually sort of think of the speakers as people. And then when you listen to the concert, you can stand next to them and hear them, or you can step back and hear them all.
And you go to these, you stand in the room with these speakers and people are crying. There's something deeply kind of affecting about it. And the artistic impulse to take simple things which exist in the world and transform them subtly and carefully into something beautiful and sublime, that should never go away.
All right. Actually, last question then. What could you imagine doing if you didn't do what you do now?
I'd imagine being a tennis commentator.
I've thought about accessorizing handbags using pearls and maybe some kind of highly shiny shell-like plus glue.
Why tennis commentator?
You lost, buddy.
I hate you now.
Okay, so it's sort of a running joke that, like, when times get tough here at Radiolab, I will say, usually at 3 in the morning, in a state of rage, I'll be like, damn it, I want to just do a sports show. Yeah. Forget this stupid show that we make. Why do we have to make it so hard on ourselves? So
he loves Roger Federer, but he won't come out. He won't come out and say so.
Yeah, I'm a big tennis fan. I love all sports, and there's something about watching two guys hit a ball across a net that it's like there's no story, there's nothing to worry about, there's none of the bullshit we have to deal with every day. It's just a kind of like there's poetry in the lines that the balls make through the air, and it's just like it's wonderfully soothing to me to watch because it doesn't have to do it with what we do. Seems so other.
Although, when you get into a long volley and you hear that, that sounds like us on a roll.
I swear, like that sound, it's like an algorithm that's always running in my head. It's just kind of in the back, so there's something going. I follow like when I have kind of bad insomnia. I will just imagine two sort of shapeless tennis players hitting a ball across the net.
You watch the crowd go?
No, it's like there's no audience really. It's just two guys. That's like a window into my OCD brain.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I'd like to win with the last question, but I can't.
Can I see the view?
Surprising handbag. I'm not really going to win anything.
Can you see the what? Sorry?
Can I see the view out of your window?
Oh, sure.
Oh, sure.
Well, there's Jennifer Houlihan. This is let's see if you can see. This is so we work in these kind of terrariums where they put us in like these things where everyone can look by. So I put these we were storyboarding some stuff here, so I put it down on the window so no one can come and look in. And then here we can sort of pan.
There are certain words that you don't want 9-year-olds to see here.
This is The Simpsons again. This is my computer. That's a horribly harsh bulb. These are our LEED certified knowing fluorescent lights. And you can kind of see some of those, like that guy right there. I don't know if you can see the guy in the beard.
That's Andy.
That's Andy. That's one of our guys.
All right.
That might have been Andy's world premiere in Wisconsin journalism. Yeah.
All right. Well.
But we sort of assume that when he gets on the ferry to go from Wisconsin to Michigan, and everybody recognizes him.
That'll be our fault. Yeah. So last thing, can you guys just explain your show briefly in your own words?
Yeah, you walk in.
Sure. Yeah, the show that's coming to the Pabst.
Yeah.
Okay.
You walk into a theater. You think you're going to be doing a lot of listening, and you'll do some. But mainly what we do is we give you a visual feast, weirdly enough. So you will hear about 3 adventures. One involves building an eyeball, because it was very crucial at a certain point in the discussion of evolution that eyeballs should develop bit by bit, which means you have to figure out what would half an eyeball do, or a tenth of an eyeball, or a thousandth of an eyeball. So we try to solve that in dance and in demonstration with a camera and a model and the whole thing, and you get to see an eye being built before your eyes until that eye can see what your eye can see.
Mm-hmm.
There's then dancing and singing.
Yes. Then there's a story of two. So that first thing is the story of how we all kind of emerged out of the dark. Second story is sort of takes the reverse. It's like two blind men who both were sighted at birth, but then fell back into the dark. They both went blind in more or less the same way, but have a very delightfully un-PC-ish fight about what's the right way to be blind. One of them thinks, well, you should paint pictures in your head, sort of make movies to fill in what's missing, and the other guy's like, no, that's dishonest. That's untruthful, because you can never know. You should go blank inside and out. And it's a great, fight.
And they're very funny with each other. Mm-hmm. So that's two blind people fighting, which I know everybody's always dreamed of. You get to do that. Yeah. You have music and more dance and funniness, and then you have a space adventure.
A guy floating outside of a spaceship, an astronaut experiencing incredible juxtapositions of light and dark. Because when you're up there, when the sun rises, it's like... and then it goes away very quickly, and you're in absolute dark, like a darkness we can't even imagine. But this really is a story of this guy almost getting incinerated by the sun and locked out of his spaceship and dying, but not quite. So it's kind of a right.
And then there's an audience participation part in that too, where the audience is asked to play a particular role.
Yeah.
And it ends with a mass sort of something.
Like
It's very pretty.
There's a very vigil-like ending to the show where everybody gets.
No.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much for your time, and we'll see you soon here in Milwaukee.
Cool. Are you going to come to the show?
Yes. I will never miss it.
You'll be wearing white with a.
I'll be wearing this exact outfit.
That's a good thing to do.
Maybe we'll all go out afterwards for some.
Yeah, well, we can just serve you on toast to somebody.